Edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accepted meaning of angel is messenger, and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful returning guest, Jessica Hadari. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to us to be able to connect with like minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Rae, and I'm a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, create your future, and transform your present to expand your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, and take charge of your destiny so you can spread your wings and soar. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and through Divine Presence, virtual and actual retreats, transformational packages, a 6-week guided meditation series for confidence, workshops, and so much more, I help you remember why you are here, your spiritual path, and the clarity of the next steps to take. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation and/or angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Jessica Hadari, who'll be talking about how when women come together as a collective, they can create and do magical things that not only empower them, but others as well. Now, for nearly 20 years, Jessica's celebrated events have represented a new paradigm in women's leadership, centered around wisdom, sharing, and collaboration business building. Now, Jessica is the founder of Spiritual Women's Leaders Network, Women of Colour Wisdom Series, and the Feminine Frequency Global Festival, which spotlights the wisdom of women all over the world, and which I've been a part of, and I made some amazing connections. So I can definitely say that Jessica is a priestess at bringing women together. And Jessica is also has also deeply cherished community as mother, hospice volunteer, and yoga teacher. So, without further delay, hello, Jessica, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me back. Truly, it's just such so beautiful what you are creating here. And now really looking back 3 years, 3+ years,
Mm.
I just I'm so delighted to be back. Thank you. It's really an honor.
Ah, you're welcome. So, before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Jessica and I want to be part of this conversation. So, please do not be shy. So, Jessica, why don't you tell us more about your journey and the magic women can create when they come together?
Yes, absolutely. I love that this topic was actually a topic that you chose because you're like, what should we connect about? And I was just like, what do you think would be juicy, and this was one that you proposed, and or just in our back and forth we kind of came to. And I love this because I think it's very possible to, either because of where you live or the kind of work you do, or even just because of the, kind of coming out of the pandemic, and people being at different paces of how they need to care for themselves or their families. It's really easy to feel very alone in this world. I truly believe that every woman should have a woman's circle, whether that's centered around her business or through her church, or socially in a meaningful way, for spiritual growth, for personal growth. And yeah, I certainly have experienced a lot of magic. The magic of women sitting together in circle, now more than often via Zoom, is how I get to experience that. And
Yeah.
really, the that is an experience. Women sitting together in circle is something that women have been doing intentionally, even ceremonially or ritually, for thousands of years. Um, and so, whether it's gathering around a table of food, or sitting and lighting candles together, or praying together, or learning together, or sharing together, that it's just, or making together, making with our hands together.
Yeah.
It's just something that women have done for thousands of years, and many of us have kind of gotten away from that. My earliest memories were actually my mother running circles in our home. So I grew up in a home where my parents ran groups and my mother ran circles. In that case, it was actually through their church. My parents are devout churchgoers, and so growing up, it was circles centered around, women studying the Bible together, or praying together, or couples coming together and being in the home with my parents. Um, and then when I was in my 20s, I loved making things with my hands. And the very first kind of women's circles, if you will, that I created were craft making circles. It's like, let's get together and paint or knit or create crafts together. And those circles actually grew. It's not something I do so much anymore, but have fond memories for. But those circles ended up growing into these events with, 50, 60, 80 women coming together. Eventually had to rent an event space to paint, and we drank wine, and we, made art together. It was really, really wonderful. And then eventually started running women's spirituality circles out of my living room, just because I felt like I needed a women's circle. And at the time I was a new mom. I felt very alone, being
Yeah.
in motherhood, and also living in a new area where I didn't know a lot of other moms, but I did know some other women just through yoga, through various, social groups, and just bringing them together and just saying, hey, let's who wants to be part of an intentional women's circle. And there was a core group of 8 of us that ended up being in a circle together for 10 years.
Wow.
And being in that space where it's every Wednesday, that's what we did. That's what we did in the evening. We came together in circle. I learned so much about facilitating and running circles, which is so much of what I do in my work today, but also just got to experience the magic of women coming together, putting all of their attention on you, holding highest intentions and prayers for you as you're sharing, as you're being witnessed. And the transformation that we all experienced in our lives over that decade was just incredible, phenomenal. Just the ability to manifest, the ability to call things in, to make changes, to be brave and move forward and take steps forward. So that's my maybe a little bit of a long answer to my first steps into the world of being in circles with women.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and sometimes things do start from little things, and quite often it is, up to us as individuals to actually start that. When I first moved to where I am now, there wasn't really anyone around me working with angels or stuff like that. And it's like, okay, I'll create something. And that's gradually built up over the years, to, that I have, regular afternoon tea with the angels, where I have the people from the start and new people coming along, because it's something in the area that they didn't even know existed.
Hmm. And so glad that you did. I mean, and look what you've created, and community and followers and people that can be together with you in this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
wonderful.
and and talking of somebody who's here, that is Whitney Walker, who was a guest on my show a couple of weeks ago, and I met Whitney
Oh, wow.
through Jessica.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, Whitney, I love your podcast, Women Waken. Yes, yes, yes. So great to see you here, sister. Yeah, I love that. That's another piece of like women coming together, is that we, it's like we'll be in conversation and you're like, "Hey, do you know someone who has this resource or this expertise?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, let me connect you." And just it's just I love the speaking of women's circles, the circles within circles, it starts to happen as I've grown in women's community, and just how we all are kind of touched, like that 6 degrees of separation. I think there's like a 1 degree, 1 or 2 degrees of separation within our women's communities. And it's just so wonderful. Oh, Whitney, so great to see you here, sister. Yeah, she's just sending her love in the chat. That's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Bless her. So, I mean, obviously that was the start of doing those. So how did you get on to doing, even um, the larger, so, the larger things you do now? How did that progress from just those craft
Well,
circles?
that was part of what we're talking about here. It's like I was in women's circle with these women in my early 20s that was just running out of my living room. We were all interested in workshops and self-growth, and so we would all go to workshops. I was also training to become a holistic health practitioner, so I was in school with a lot of interesting women. And I just got to this point. By the time I got to my late 20s, I got to my point where I'm like, she needs to know her. And oh my gosh, I can't believe that she doesn't know her. And I just found myself surrounded by all of these incredible women healers, workshop leaders, other women who were running women's circles. And I was surprised that they didn't know each other. And so I started to create a women's networking event for women light leaders in my local area in Berkeley. I'm near San Francisco, so the Berkeley is right next to San Francisco, and just started to create these live events every month so that all of these women that I loved could come together and meet one another. And so then that just kind of grew over the years as women came to that event and my community grew. Then it turned into like little like weekend conferences where there'd be multiple women leading workshops, over the course of several days. And then that turned into where we met, the Feminine Frequency Festival, which we then took everything online and just kind of put the call out like, hey, if you want to lead a workshop, like, please come be part of this. It's completely free. And women really responded. And so then we ran that online, and it was just wonderful to see the women who really chose to engage during that festival, beyond just teaching a workshop or witnessing a workshop. All of them gave me feedback that has nothing to do with me, but it has more to do with you, the women that engaged, and you were one of them,
Yeah,
that you would see someone and it would spark something, and you would take initiative and reach out to her. And Whitney's the same way. Whitney of Women Waken, who is here chatting with
yeah,
us a moment ago, she's the same way. She's like, oh, I see this amazing woman and this amazing woman. I'm going to start a podcast. So many beautiful projects were nourished by all of those connections, and so many beautiful things came out of just women coming together and showing an interest, being curious, saying, hey, what you're doing, I'm feeling what you're doing. And rather than being jealous or feeling like your competition or feeling like or engaging in the mind chatter of that sometimes women do, that is just, from our wounding, from sister wounds, from mother wounds, um, the way women are kind of taught to treat each other through like mainstream media. When all of that is gone and it's just like, ooh, I see you, you're creating something amazing. Let me lean into that and
yeah.
reach out to you and see how we might play. Amazing things come out of that. So you are such an embodiment of that, Rae. I mean, you just are
Thank
so
you.
collaborative, and so many women I love are like, oh, I was on Rae's show and she's wonderful, and just, yeah, so incredible. So incredible.
Yeah, no, and it is, and it's kind of like, I've noticed when women do come together, and you said the spark of ideas, but it is kind of like that magical energy that just starts to permeate into other parts of our lives as well, and starts that ripple effect that starts affecting others and bringing them on board. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about it, is that when women come together without any judgment of each other, just
Mm.
with support, we are all one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, this phrase came through as you were speaking. The phrase was that women are collectors. And it was like, on a in a funny way, like a cliche way, it might be like shoes or purses. We like to, but I think there's a way that since ancient times, women have been a collector of community, gathering, like we said, like sitting in circle together, making with their hands, whether it's, co-parenting our babies together in ancient times, or coming together and doing, practicing rituals and rites as we can imagine in the old temples, or even just like out amongst the trees,
Yeah.
dancing under the oak tree. It just we've been gathering together in so many different facets of our lives for so long. And I think a lot of that, kind of got lost as we who live in the West and like Western lifestyles, we live in kind of these, our houses and our uh, nuclear lifestyles can get very insular. That unless you live in a community house or you actively seek community in the ways that we're talking about, running circles or even something virtual like a podcast, or you know um, yeah, if we're not actively seeking and being in intimate community, then yeah, it's easy to just kind of lone wolf our way through our businesses or our motherhood or our lives. um, so yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely need that support from each other, and to give to each other. And I think that's, if you were to look back at the pandemic, I think that's was a brilliant opportunity, because I think it's brought more women together that might not have been together because they were isolated at that time, and they've had to find ways of doing it. And being online, the fact it's so natural, technology, you kind of go, oh, it's a pain, it's taken over. But you can also look at it that it's brought so many people together that would never ever have met.
Yes. Yes. Well, and something I've been experiencing, and I think this is, I think this conversation can also veer into the mystical, and just something that I think we both touched on a little bit of, just, the magic of women coming together, that there is, there are, there is something to be said about women coming together and collectively manifesting, whether that's in a tangible way, like, women in my community, we come together to raise money for certain
Mm,
nonprofits or charities. Um, so that's a tangible version of manifesting, like
yeah,
what I can give philanthropically when I'm bringing my sisters together. We're coming together and everybody gives a little bit, is so much greater than what many of us can give just by ourselves.
yeah,
But on a more spiritual level, there is something about, number one, being in community or in circle with other people, and I think especially with other women who are truly, truly, truly holding highest intentions and prayers, for me, for each individual woman, where it's just like, in this moment, I'm putting all of my attention on you, and I am holding you and uplifting you with, every fiber of my being, as you share, as you are witnessed, or as you lead a ritual or whatever. But there's also then taking that container where every woman is holding highest intentions for the other women, beyond the dramas of life, beyond personality, just really being in reverence, a state of reverence, with, in a sacred container. That I do think that we can also catalyze our manifestations, what we are calling in, um, for ourselves individually, for ourselves collectively. I think that's very interesting. And I've definitely experienced some of that for sure, where it's just like, whether it's whether it's because psychologically I then move forward in the world feeling supported, feeling like I am relevant and I have value because that has been reflected to me by the women in circle with me, or whether there's something more mystical or magical going on with just that generative energy of women, manifesting, and being in ritual space together. Either way, I've definitely experienced some very powerful inner and outer transformations.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a mixture of both.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, equally as powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think it's so important nowadays for women to come together as a collective in circles to support each other, because there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment that is trying to separate women to make them non-entities. Um, it's as if they don't matter. Uh,
Mm.
and I think, now it's so important that women really do come together and stand with each other, and support and support each other. You know so many women from so many different diverse backgrounds. And it's amazing how you bring all these different women together. It's kind of like so amazing that you can actually do that.
Well, so this is interesting because we kind of are veering into like business category. So I want to dive into this rabbit hole
Mm,
because it's really important for any women that have a business. And this is not really, it should be the first thing that you learn when you're opening up a business of any kind. But it's often something that I don't see taught in a lot of business programs, or it's taught later, and I just think that it's so foundational, the kind of the art of partnering and collaborating with other women. Sometimes when I say partner and collaborate, women entrepreneurs will take that to mean like profit sharing. Like, okay, you and me, Ray, are going to create a workshop, and we'll charge money for this workshop, and then we'll both split the money. That's actually a very complicated form of partnership. And I think it's beautiful, and I know women who do that, and I've done that. And I think that's something that you do with someone you've already collaborated with in many other ways first, because there are layers and layers of complication. Um, so that I just wanted to kind of say off the bat, when I'm talking about collaboration and partnership, usually, I think the most beneficial style is what I call cross pollination. It's not what I call, it's sometimes called cross pollination. I did not coin the phrase cross pollination like bees. It's a little bit like,
yeah,
Ray, you've invited me to be on your show. You are giving me the gift of being in your spotlight, right? And the people that follow you, your audience, they're going to see this and see me. It's a wonderful gift of just exposure. I also get to connect with you because I love you. So it's just a win-win for me. In exchange for giving me this beautiful spotlight, I am going to delightfully share this with my audience as well, so they get to see the episode, and our communities kind of get to, in this interesting way, like weave together. Like, I'm benefiting you by promoting this and getting more people into your world and to see your show and your other shows, and over to your YouTube channel and Facebook, and I'm benefited also because I'm stepping in your spotlight. And so I really wish more women entrepreneurs would play in that way, where it's like, oh, you have a workshop coming up, I have a workshop coming up, why don't I promote your workshop to my women and you promote my, just that cross
yeah,
pollination. When I look at the women around me that have had very successful businesses for a very long time, they all do this. They have a special event coming up, or a special, release of a special podcast, or something else that they're putting out into the world. And they will take the time ahead of time to get other women on board. Maybe it's a book, like a book launch. They'll like put
yeah,
together a book launch team months before they launch their book, right? And now their book is going out to hundreds or even thousands of people through these other women who have said, yes, I would love to share your new book when it's ready with my audience. So yeah, there's a lot of power in weaving together and not doing things alone. Um, just I just wanted to say this really quickly. It dovetails into something else we were talking about the energy of women coming together, specifically in circle. I'm kind of switching gears here, but I wanted to say,
That's fine.
because I used to only run circles and events for women live in person. And then during the pandemic, when I started to do the same things on Zoom, I actually found like there's nothing's the same as being live in person. I totally understand that.
No.
But the level of connection and intimacy and magic and depth that I have experienced on Zoom, being in circles with women, networking with women, or even bigger things like the Feminine Frequency Conference Festival, it's amazing how much true intimacy and connection can be experienced on Zoom. So I wanted to say that because we've kind of started to veer into territory of like, hey, if you're a woman and you want a circle, consider starting your own. And now with Zoom, it makes it possible for those who maybe are in a local area where you don't know a lot of people, or your living situation doesn't allow you to host, so anyway, I just wanted to say that piece.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, and it is quite an important thing. Even though I'm running the afternoon tea in person, people can still
I
join
love that.
online.
I love
My
that.
guide med my guide med my guide meditation evenings, I don't do in person anymore. That's all online, but you can do in person and online at the same time, which I think is absolutely amazing
That is amazing.
that we've
Yes.
actually got to do that.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you going to do more live, in person stuff, or are you just sticking to
Yeah,
online
it's
now?
interesting. I don't have any desire to do live, like the kind of regular networking or running women's circles out of my home, or the things that really truly for many many years brought me joy. But one thing that I have considered, so I have an online community called the Rise Sisterhood, and the purpose of Rise Sisterhood is it's about 100 women, but we actually come together in little circles online of like 4 or 5 women at a time. It's like me and like 4 or 5 women, and we sister mind together. Most of the women are entrepreneurs, and so will sister mind each woman's business, or maybe she's writing a book and she wants to come, do some readings, or we also have women who are developing their marketing message. They might have an email or a landing page or a social media post that they just want feedback on. So it's a place to workshop any part of your message, your business, your strategy, whatever. And in addition to that, we do also little networking. I call them like also like online networking teas. I limit the tea to just 20 women. And that way it's more about what we've been talking about, coming together,
Yeah.
cross-pollinating. Hey, oh, you have a workshop, I have a workshop. Let's, cross-pollinate. Oh, you've got a book, I have a book, you have a podcast, like just that kind of joyous linking arms and moving forward together. So I am considering, as we move into the summer and the fall and into 2024, maybe like seasonally having a live version of one of those, like you with your
Mm.
teas, also like a
Yeah.
little live networking lunch. It's just for the women who are local, because
Yeah.
the women in Rise Sisterhood are all over the world. But the local women, if they want to come together and actually share food, or at a table with food, and just kind of network in that way as well. So a very casual, um, but I'm just loving the online. I'm really loving the online. So I don't know that I will ever go back to running all of the live events that I used to.
Yeah.
Probably not, because the online has just been so magical.
Yeah, and I've attended some of Jessica's online stuff as well, and it's amazing the amount of women that do, like going online and joining together.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely something that really does work, and I think is really something quite important in these days and times, where you can't where it's easier to connect with
Yes.
people, that you wouldn't even dream of, that you could even
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so tell me a little bit about some of your live in person gatherings for women, because you've mentioned a couple. And then also, what are you doing online? Like, where's your kind of women's circle magic in your life?
Well, obviously, this show
Yes. Yes.
is sort of like the main thing, that I do. But obviously, I do the afternoon tea with the angels. I do guide meditations. I'm running a retreat down in Glastonbury. I'm doing an in-person retreat down in Glastonbury.
Ah,
And I've got 6 beautiful women signed up to that. So that's going to be, especially down in Glastonbury, you've got all the
yes.
goddess energy down there.
Yes.
So it's just, yeah, it's just amazing. And in fact, I
Talk
was
about magic.
and Glastonbury is really, really, sort of like so magic, and it shows you places when you're ready. And there can be places you might see one time you go down, then you go down the next time, and you can't ever find it again. It's just,
Wow.
it's just one of those places. And I was actually in the White a couple of retreats ago. I was in the White Spring, in sort of like the goddess area, and I actually got transported back in time, and I was actually one of the original goddesses who looked after the White Spring, and it was just
Oh,
so amazing because
wow.
the energy I connected with all these women from that time, and I was just literally in tears because it was just so emotional, so amazing to be back with, connected to all these women from the past. It was just wow, that really was mind blowing.
Wow.
When that happened. So, even time, if you think about it, that was back in that time, going back hundreds, thousands of years. In 1,000 years time, you know if people connect to that energy from this time, they'll connect to the goddess energy, the priestess energy, the feminine energy that was created now will still be relevant in 100,000 years time
I
because
love
of
that.
the magic and energy we've created now.
Yes. That's amazing to think of. Ray, you please tell me next time you're doing a retreat in Glastonbury. I've been once. I've been wanting to go back again, but I've been wanting to go back with someone like you who, in an intentional space. So it's, yeah, so please just know, like, reach out to me, message me, cuz I just would love that. Oh, that's just so delicious. Yeah,
Yeah.
Glastonbury is so magical. I've also had magical experiences at the Chalice Well.
Mm.
Oh, that's just amazing. I'm so happy. I'm so glad I asked, because I was like, I really want to hear what you're. Forget about the recording. I really want to hear what you're creating, because it's just, yeah. I know that you're also just engaging in such magical things, and so with your online, um, the online piece, the angel readings.
Mm.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because we've only ever connected in this conversation and the
Mhm.
festival. So I would love to know. Yeah, tell me about the
Yeah.
angel readings.
The afternoon tea with the angels is basically we come together and we talk about angel spiritual things, guide meditation, doing angel oracle cards, and just talking about all things spiritual. That's not necessarily angels, but all things spiritual. that that we do. But I also on a Wednesday with a guy called Graham, who's so in touch with his feminine side
Mm.
as well. And we do an angels and spirits show where he does mediumship and I do card reading. For people, and it is just so magical. Even people that we've never met before that come in and go, can you give me a reading? And the energy that that creates is sort of like, again, it just adds to that circle of energy
Mm.
that all comes together. So yeah, it's really amazing to actually be able to hold the space for all these women that come in and want to know about things, because unfortunately it is still majority women. It's it's kind of like,
Yeah.
wake up to your feminine side, man.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, but we will have a catch up on a private
Yeah,
on
thank you. Thank you.
on
I'm
on
just so glad to hear the magic you're creating with and for women. And it sounds like also a an honorary man, in his feminine man.
Exactly, and he won't mind me, saying, and he won't mind me saying that one. So, as you know, I do guided meditations and angel oracle card readings, and each week I like to ask my guests what they would like me to do for them and themselves that are watching. So, Jessica, would you like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an angel oracle card for you and everyone who's watching live or the replay?
Oh, I would love an angel oracle card. Yes, yes,
Oh, funny
yes.
enough, I've got them in my hand as we speak. Amazing, that. Cards travel with me everywhere. Um, now, for those that don't know, when I do card readings, I always do readings for what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. Because even though I work with past life, I take people back in time, and I work with future life, I take people forward in time, whether they go backwards or forwards in time, it's always to bring them back to the present, because we really do need to be in the present, and that is where we need to be. So, what does Jessica and everyone who's watching this live or the replay need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? What does Jessica and everyone who's watching this live they need to know for their highest good? Okay, so that one wants to come out. Beautiful. So we have got rainbow blessings. Blessings are showering your life. Isn't that a
That's
beautiful card?
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that sounds
so, so
lovely.
for for Jessica and everyone watching, there are lots of blessings showering your life. At the moment, that rainbow is out there. So if you've not been feeling that things are heading in the right direction, know that they are. Look for that rainbow. Look for those blessings, because they are there and they are coming in. You just need to notice them because they are there.
Mm.
So be open to that coming in. And that's really what the card is saying at the moment. So
Mm.
look out for the rainbows.
That's so perfect. Thank you. That card really is a gift. Ah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
So, Jessica, do you have any insights or thoughts to leave our viewers? Any last minute words of wisdom?
Yeah, it's interesting, as you were right before you about to pull the card, I was just oh, yes, what was coming through is, I think the circles that you and I run and the groups and the way that we gather is more spiritually oriented, right? Yours is there's the gathering you spoke about with the Angel Oracle and what was it? Sorry, can you say it again? The T, the
Afternoon tea with the
I just
angels.
love that so much. So it's like fun and connecting, but also there's a spiritual, you know, a- aspect of the topic and what you're doing together. And mine tends to be like we're coming together as business owners, but it is still spiritual. We're lighting
Yeah.
candles, we're really sitting and witnessing each other as in kind of like
Mm.
a queen archetype, that queen space.
The
Um
Queen's
the
tea.
queen, yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it must have been. Jessica does run a Queen's
I
tea.
do. Yes, that's another one of the fun things I do online. Yes. But I just wanted to name that, for any woman watching this who's like hungry for a circle that maybe wants to start her own, like you can create a women's circle around anything, whether it's a book club where you're reading meaningful books, or or romance novels. Like who can that it being in a women's circle can look 1,000 different ways. And just to feel into what would be most nourishing for you and your life, whether it's a mom's group or something more spiritual or something more fun or something centered around food, or something centered around, like, if you're partnered, like the two of you as a couple or you as a family. I mean, really, there's no right or wrong way. And I just really believe every woman should have a circle. And so I guess the final thing coming through is just like you do you and feel into what's most nourishing for you. And then there's also wonderful resources, whether it's like meetup.com. I'm not sure if it's as much of a resource in the UK as it is here in the States.
It was. I mean that's how I started my first afternoon tea with
Okay.
the angels was via Meetup.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, no, I think over the years Meetup in this country isn't as popular as it is over in America now.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so or even just like with Facebook events or Facebook groups, there are ways just through some little, you know, online searches, or some of these platforms where I think you could also plug into communities where there are events and gatherings happening. So just, yeah, it's like set aside a little bit of time in the next week or so to just do a little bit of research, whether you're wanting to host something or plug into something, and just take some steps towards that. Sometimes it takes a little while to like find your people, and that's okay. I think that's a natural part of the
Mm.
process. And so I think as long it's a little bit like intentionally designing your calendar, your schedule, right? Sometimes it takes a while for the reality to match the fantasy. And I
Yeah.
think the same thing with community, right? Sometimes it requires some pruning of some previous communities or friends that no longer serve. Sometimes it takes a little while to find, something that's really a match. And so to allow yourself to be in that process and to take steps forward and to, give yourself all the time you need to just find yourself fully nourished by a circle or a community that just is a match for you. Because I know it's out there.
Yeah, it definitely is, and beautiful last words to say. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation found insightful, because I know I definitely have, and it's been brilliant sharing with Jessica. So if people want to connect with you, Jessica, how do they do that? What's the easiest way for them to connect with you and find out more about you?
Yeah, probably the easiest way is through Facebook. Just, that's how you and I have connected. So that's very easy. My website is opulentpriestess.com. So that's another way to connect with me. But yeah, I love messaging directly. I'm not really like an email person. So just find me on Facebook, send me a message. I'm always delighted to be connected in that way.
And what I will do is I will put the direct links into the comments after the show, so people can literally just click on the link and go straight to you.
Perfect. That's
So
perfect.
they don't have to go searching.
Great.
So So, if anyone is watching this, you're now ready to remember your divine presence and step into your spiritual multidimensional path, but you feel lost, confused, stuck, or alone, then please feel free to connect with me and we can see where you are now and how you can move forward to take charge of your destiny, to spread your wings and soar. And of course, you can get a free future life progression recording that takes you into future lifetime to gain insights that you need to know now, and some other free gifts by signing up to my weekly newsletter. And I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching, whether live or at a later date. And I'd love to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny, just like you. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified when the show goes live or I post new guided meditations. And in fact, you've got a YouTube channel, haven't you, Jessica?
I do, but I'm not so active on it right now. So we'll just focus on your YouTube channel for now.
All right, all right, all right. So yes, because every subscription, every comment really does help. Get this show and my other shows out to more and more people. And I look forward to you all joining me again, same time, same place next week. And again, thank you so much, Jessica, for being part of this show. Thank you so much, Whitney, for actually commenting. And if you are watching this on the replay, any comments or questions or anything, Jessica and I will be coming back in and we will answer them for you. So again, thank you so much, Jessica. It's been a privilege to have you on my show again.
Oh, thank you so much. The privilege is all mine.
Take care, everyone. Bye.